Hey, everybody out there, welcome back to 91.8 The Fan. It is your favorite holiday-themed host, the DJ Christmas, and I have with me a very special guest. Would you like to introduce yourself to all the listeners out there?
Hello, everyone. This is Erica Schroeder, sometimes known as Bella Hudson.
Ah,
How's
see,
everybody doing?
see, I didn't know that you were one and the same. I've seen the name Bella Hudson all over the place. I'm like, oh, she has a really nice voice. That's very
Oh,
nice.
thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I
But
started out as Erica, then I became Bella, and then I went back to Erica. It was all, based on who was representing me at the time and what they felt was best for me career-wise. But I think this is best. I mean, it's fine that that Erica Schroeder is also a stage actress and also an anime and cartoon and voiceover actress.
yeah,
So it just kind of, yeah. So I went
this
back
is
to
loads
my
of fun.
original
And
real name.
yeah, and for some of the listeners out there who aren't quite as familiar with you as they should be, what are some of your big things that you've been working on recently?
Oh gosh. Well, okay. Recently, I played Cassie Catherine on the new Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal, and I also played Bianca on Pokemon, and then I played a ton of other ancillary characters on Pokemon and a bunch of actual Pokemon. That's what I'm working on mostly right now. But I'm constantly doing, some films here and there, and theater projects, of course, and readings and workshops. And as far as my body of work, I don't know. Everyone, it's interesting what different fans react to, what they consider as a big role. It's maybe something that I'm like, oh, I never even thought of that. But I guess Akiza is a big one for the fans.
I do enjoy Akiza.
And oh, good, good. Yeah, I had no idea she was um, popular until I opened my Facebook page, and it seemed to be that a lot of people were a big fan of her, which was a nice surprise because up till about a year ago, I never even paid attention to anything that was, being said online or anything, or I've never been to conventions, so um, that kind of thing. I just didn't really know what people were saying or what was going on. Some people might know me as Luffy in One Piece. What else? I took over for season 6, Nurse Joy on Pokemon, and then I took over for My Valentine. I think season 4 or 5
Yeah, it
in
was it
Yu-Gi-Oh.
was season 4 for Yu-Gi-Oh, and that was one of like I'm usually very good at picking up on minor voice switches. I
Oh
think
yeah.
one of the shows that Viz out in Los Angeles did, Zatch Bell, it went on hiatus for a while, and when they came back, they had changed one of the major characters, and like this person sounds completely different. And Mai was another one that I think a lot of people picked up on. I was like, Mai, you sound completely different.
Yeah, it's funny because they hired me because I did a great voice match. Like a lot of times I get work because I do good voice matches, but Eric Stewart was like, I want to make her different. I want to make her you. I don't want to try and trick anybody. So once I got the part, he said, let's just, this is the direction I'd like to go, and let's, fly with it. And I was like, I'm totally up for that. I'd love to make it my own. So, yeah, I mean, I had never even seen an episode before, but when I went into the audition, of course, they played Megan's ref, and I did a really nice match, and then we just sort of said, okay, well, let's just go from there and make her different, make her, her own, my own version of her. So that was fun.
And I think it
But
really
oftentimes
worked.
I,
It definitely worked for Mai's character from season 4, because in season 4 she was sort of different than she was in the first 3 seasons. It was a bit of a character archetype switch, and if I do say so, you pulled it off very nicely.
thank you very much, Chris. Very nice of
And
you to say.
going back a bit to Bianca from Pokemon, I haven't watched too much of the recent anime series, so I don't know how often Bianca pops up. But did you also voice her for that new Black and White 2 animated trailer?
No, no. That's the trailer. I was in upstate New York doing a show called My Mother's Lesbian Jewish Wiccan Wedding, which was a ridiculous amount of fun. But the
Sounds like a
title's kind of
ridiculous amount of fun.
dissembling. It's unbelievable. It's such an incredible show, and the title is really dissembling because it's it's slightly misleading because it's not a schlocky show. It's not, a wacky show. It's a true story about a guy whose mother became a lesbian later on in her life, and how he just totally accepted it right off the bat. And it's a beautiful love story of who she falls in love with, and it's absolutely hilarious, and then at the same time completely moving and very timely, because there's a lot in it about gay marriage and stuff and gay rights, and it's just a beautiful, beautiful story. But we'll get back to that later. But you said, did I do the voice for the trailer? I did not do the voice for the trailer because I was there, and it suddenly came up. I had just been there. I came back for a day and had just done some work on the series, and then like the next day they called me and said, can you come back in like 2 or 3 days? And I was like, I'm so sorry, I can't. I'm doing 8 shows a week. I cannot come back. And they were like, okay, are you okay with us, temporarily replacing you for the trailer? And I said, absolutely, go for it, And I said, can I come back though? And they said, of course. So that was just a quick. Sometimes that happens, especially with those of us who do theater and voiceover. I remember once actually having to replace a really good friend of mine just for like one episode of something, because she's just a very, very successful theatrical actress, and she was out of town, so I called her and I was like, I'm so sorry, but she's like, no, thank you. I'm glad you kept my job for me, It just sometimes, occasionally, it's very seldomly that has to be done. It doesn't happen that often, but, those of us who work out of town sometimes, it happens.
Yeah, and it's good that the voice acting community is so tight knit, so that in the event that an acting gig or God forbid some sort of injury comes up that you can't get out to a studio, you guys are all friends and you're more than happy to fill in.
Yeah,
and just
it's really nice. There's a great camaraderie amongst us, I would say. I can't even, count on one hand the number of people that I don't care for. There's such great people, and I'm, close friends with a lot of them, the majority of the people that work in the community that I work in New York.
Yeah, that definitely seems to. The voice acting is the nicest part of anything with acting in it, as opposed to you know most other actors are all fighting for each other's jobs for a role or anything. But
Yeah.
whenever voice actors get a role that another voice actor wanted, you guys are all just so happy for each other.
Yeah, I definitely find that. I find that most of us, it's not very competitive in the sense that we know what's meant to be is meant to be. If the role is meant to be ours, it will be ours. I was originally cast as Stormy in, now I'm going to forget the name of the show, in Winx Club, one of the 3 witches.
Yep.
And I got a job out of town and couldn't come back for the promo. And since the show had not started, they were like, I'm sorry, we're going to replace you. And I was like, oh, but I'll be back in like 3 weeks. And they said, we have to do the promo now. And so, stuff like that happens too. But, you roll with it. And I can't remember who voiced her, but I remember she was great. I think maybe it was Lisa Ortiz, I don't know. But
Definitely. But we've talked a little bit about some of the stuff that you've done more recently, but how exactly did you get started in the whole voice acting business?
Well, I've been doing voices and impersonations forever, and we, use them in musical theater sometimes when needed, but I always wanted to be a cartoon. I was obsessed with cartoons as a young kid, and that was one of my 3 things. I said I want to be on Broadway, I want to be a cartoon, and I want to be on Saturday Night Live. Those were my 3 lifetime goals. So what happened was I got called from 4 kids. Someone gave them my name, a reference from, actually, I think from where I went to school at NYU. And they were looking for people to audition for Ultraman Tiga, which is not animation, but it's a dub and live action dub. So I went in for both of the female characters, thinking they're going to cast me as like some wacky voice because I do so many different voices, and then they ended up casting me as pretty much my voice, just sort of the ingenue version for Raina. And so we did like, I don't know, 1 or 2 seasons of that, and it just didn't go over well, I think, because they couldn't decide if they wanted to really, really camp it up or keep it real. And so they kind of towed the line. Sometimes with art, when you toe the line, you don't have a good result. You really have to take chances if you want to have a hit on your hands, you know. So that kind of got me in the door there, and then slowly I was probably within the next 2 or 3 years working for at least 10 different studios. And then I started working with Abrams artists, and doing work for them commercially and stuff like that. And so that's kind of how it all started. But it was always something I wanted and something I knew would happen, just didn't know how that first door would open. And it was actually 4Kids that opened that door for me. So I thank them for it, and I'm eternally grateful to them.
Yeah, definitely. And as somebody who's been around with the anime industry since, I wouldn't say since it first started, but when people really started to take note of it, that was really when 4Kids started getting on the scene. Because originally 4Kids, they were just, they did the Pokemon, and that really put them on the map, and they sort of branched out more and did more stuff. And then,
yeah, and it kind of brought anime to the masses. I mean, I don't know if people really want to admit it. It brought anime to the masses in the United States, you know? And,
definitely.
Yeah, and I think that's why we have so many fans in their 20s and 30s now, because that's kind of, whether people like, what they do or what they're doing now, I think when you age, you may grow out of, wanting to watch those kind of shows because they might not appeal to your age with the rewrites and things like that. But I think for what their audience is, I think they've always done a fabulous job, and at keeping the interest of the kids. And kids love the shows. And then there's some shows that cross over into, like Yu-Gi-Oh and such, that fans of all ages can enjoy and love. Because of, the intricate stories behind anime. It's so different than other cartoons that just kind of go from one episode to the next without an arc. But anime is different in that you really can get into the story, and there's a period of time that you can see the character grow and the arc of the character. So it's different, different than other genres, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. But that brings up a little bit of a sore subject for me, because one well, it's just that one of my pet peeves, and I'm not saying this to insult you or anybody else who worked in the show, but I very much dislike the 4Kids version of One Piece.
I know most people over the age of 15 do dislike it.
And
because
I understand
down.
what had to be done because it was for kids, but I didn't like it. It seemed to me a poor choice for them to pick up, because it's definitely not one of those things that can be toned down for kids and still keep, like you said, the overarching character story, and still keep the same emotions.
I think they had to lose a lot of the storyline, unfortunately, in doing so. I think the kid, the younger kids that saw it still loved it and enjoyed it.
Oh, absolutely.
But definitely the older fans, it was not, good for them, because they had to cut out a lot of things and change, even like with lollipops.
Yes, cigarettes to lollipops, and
and things like that were really
rifles
important,
to
and
squirt guns.
Sort of, people treasured that because it's their, they know the original and stuff. So I completely understand that. And 4Kids did work really closely with them at the very beginning for a good month at least. They were around, and we had board meetings, and I was in meetings without, not even being in the booth, not being in the studio. They really wanted 4Kids to get this character right. And they were happy with it. They were, I don't know if they were happy with it once it got past the first season, or once they, kind of took their hands off of it. But I do know that initially they were happy, and they shaped. I did a voice match, and then they shaped the voice. Between what 4Kids wanted and what they wanted. So it wasn't like they were being strong-armed for any of the actors' picks. They picked them along with 4Kids. So it was a joint effort, and maybe it didn't work out so great in the end, but I think they did a good job as best they could with the audience that they were going for. And I actually loved the experience. I really loved dubbing him. I thought he was so much fun.
Oh yeah, Luffy
So,
is an absolute joy to watch, and like I like I said, it's sore for me, but I can definitely understand why it happened. But
right,
since
yeah,
One Piece is definitely one of the longer standing shows, it has a large fandom, not just in Japan but in the U.S. as well. For other people who have kept up with it in the Japanese, I
right,
think the Four Kids was what they saw as something where it was something where their big series, the one that they love, this was essentially their Pokemon or their Dragon Ball Z, and this
yeah,
was its shot to
exactly,
come over here to the U.S. and it wasn't what they wanted,
right. Yeah,
but
they tried. They
the
tried.
video games
And
were a lot of fun. I did enjoy the video games.
I actually got one of them, but I never played it because I don't play video games. Because it like raises my stress level for some reason. It's just not within me to play video games because I feel like I'm going to die repeatedly, and I really only want to die once. So it's just not a good thing for me. Like Frasier, episodes of Frasier, things like that, where the guy is just going to be humiliated and bleep. You know, I can't watch things like that, and that's for the same reason why I can't play video games because I know I don't like to die repeatedly. I think I'll just do it once,
Yeah.
maybe when I'm like 80 something.
Well,
But my husband
out of
enjoys games.
the three that Four Kids did, Pirates Carnival, it's not really so much as fight and die. It's more of a fun mini game type of game. So Pirates Carnival would be the one if you don't want to up your
That would be
stress
the
level.
one. And then my kids have the Luffy doll.
Ah,
I mean, they still are like, my 2.5-year-old drags it around the house and pulls on its legs and stuff, and he thinks it's hysterical. So they have a blast with that.
oh yeah,
Absolutely. I haven't told them. I
it's a
haven't
lot of
told them it's
fun,
me yet.
and that they did a great job with what they had to work with, and
Yeah, it
um,
would be fun to redub it. I mean, I know. Was it Funimation that did it?
Funimation has it. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It would have been fun to be able to be truer to it, and to have the opportunity. But I'm told they did a really nice job with it, and so kudos to them.
yeah. I watched it all from the beginning, from where they picked up, and I was very pleased with this version. And
Good.
now, obviously, since you've been in a bunch of series, video games, and anime that have a really big fan base, have you had the chance to get out to any conventions and meet any fans in person?
No, but I'm going to be doing 2 in October.
Ooh.
Somehow, yeah. I mean, I just sort of wasn't putting myself out there for that because I was doing so much theater, and but I'm going to be doing a rock con in Pennsylvania. I think it's October 28th, and then I'll be doing a fundraiser for. I'm not even sure if I can announce this yet, but I'm not sure, so maybe I'll hold off. But the weekend before, I will be somewhere else
Aha.
with a bunch of fun Yu-Gi-Oh folk that I will be thrilled to spend time with. And so that will kind of be my whole introduction into that world, and I'm excited about it. I opened up my Facebook page about a year ago because I was getting so many Facebook requests from people I didn't know, and they generally had like anime pictures and stuff. And I just felt terrible ignoring everybody for so long, but I do have children and I do value my privacy. So I just had to ignore them, and I felt terrible. So I said, I'm just going to, there was like a surge, like a bunch of people were asking, maybe it was around the time when Tai Chi Chaser started airing, I don't know. And I thought, I'm just going to open up a page and say, here I am. If you want to talk or you have any questions, come ask me questions and we'll, spar, play around and see what you want to know. And maybe I can learn something from them too. And I definitely have learned a lot about the community from my fans, and they're very great and loyal, and it's been fun.
Well, if you want to learn about the community, conventions are definitely the place to do it.
Yeah, I have a lot of friends who've been doing them for years, so I'm
Yeah,
excited to...
I think the only one that I know from the New York crew that does a lot of conventions is Tom Wayland. He always makes the yearly trip down to Anime Boston, which is...
I think Mike Pollock does a lot. Lisa Ortiz
Mike
does a lot.
does a lot. I haven't seen Lisa.
Yeah.
I'd like to hopefully see Lisa in the future, but...
Yeah, Lisa does a ton. I mean, she's always going somewhere. Yeah, I love her.
I'd love to talk to Lisa. We haven't had the chance to talk to Lisa yet, and I
she would totally do an interview. She'd be great too. She's so much fun.
I just love her voice. I've been watching Slayers on Netflix because they have all of Slayers on Netflix. I'm like, oh, let me just watch this.
Yeah, I'm told it's really good. I haven't been able to do a lot of work over there lately, just because. Well, yeah, it's a. I don't want to say this, but it's like kind of a pay issue. I have 2 kids. I gotta pay the bills, so I have to make a certain amount of money to get in the studio. But,
Definitely.
I'm not going to tell you what it is. But
well, we're not asking. We've talked to a lot of.
I know. You're not.
We've talked to a lot of voice actors, and they're more than willing to let the fans know of the harsh reality that voice acting's a lot of fun, but it doesn't pay necessarily all of the bills. You need to do a lot of voice acting.
Like, I did like a commercial when I was like 9 months pregnant with my daughter, and I could barely walk. I really thought I was going to explode and give birth that day when I had to record this commercial. So I literally asked my neighbor if they would ride on the subway with me because I was terrified. My neighbor sent her teenage son with me to guard me to make sure I didn't go into labor on the subway. And I went and I recorded a Pop-Tarts commercial. And
ooh, Pop-Tarts.
Yeah, and it was actually hilarious that I got it because it was animated. And I kept telling my agents, just send me out for animated stuff. I promise you I will book it. Just send me out. I promise you, 50% of the time I will book it if you send me. They never listened. They sent me out on 2 animated things. I booked both of them. But
nice.
At page 8, I got $8,000.
Well, yeah,
I got $8,000, and it only ran for 30 days.
That's another thing we hear.
That was a good gig. There's good gigs and bad gigs. You just got to put your feelers out there for them.
Yeah, anime voice acting it doesn't pay all the bills, but video games are a little more lucrative and commercial.
Pay all the bills. People like Sean Schemmel and stuff, and
oh yeah, if you're Sean Schemmel, well.
Yeah, and it paid all the bills for me for almost 10 years.
Yeah.
Because I working at so many different studios and working at least in the studio at least 3 days a week. But yeah it's not like I'm getting rich.
Commercials out of all the voice acting stuff, I hear commercials are where the most money is to be had, just because of
and audio. You can make decent money doing audiobooks too, but you need more time available, and I haven't been able to have too much time available because I am the one raising my children. I do want to be the one raising my children. I don't want somebody else raising them. I love them having other influences, but I did have my children to be with them and not to throw them at other people. So it's great. I've worked out a schedule where I can work, like 2 days a week, as much work as I can get, and then be home with them the other 3. And so it's a great balance. I'm really, really, really loving it. Really loving
Definitely.
It.
And now, since we are nearing the end of this interview, you mentioned that you will be at some mysterious magical place before your first foray into conventions. Do you have any place other than your Facebook page where fans can keep up to date when you're able to announce stuff like that?
I would say that's pretty much it. Just my Facebook page, and it's just under Erica Schroeder, actor director. And on it, I made a photo album. I've only put like 58 characters in there. I've got like 50 more to put in, but just to sort of give people an idea of, there's a lot of characters I do that people don't know about because people think, well, they recognize my normal voice and, variances of the young girl voice, and then they recognize my young boy voice, but they don't recognize any of the other voices that I do, and so people often think that's it, so it'll be fun to show everybody all these other things that
I know
that you don't recognize.
Michelle Knotts does that too. She has a photo album on her Facebook fan page where she has a picture of every Pokemon that she's voiced, so people know that that is her.
Yeah, it's neat. I mean, I haven't worked on it in a while because I got a lot of different projects going on, but it's fun and fans have been posting pictures like, you forgot about this character, and so they like to contribute, and that's fun. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun getting that up and getting it ready and getting out to everybody.
Definitely.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back on the stage more because now the kids are a little bit older, and I was able to do the show this summer, and it was wonderful. And we have a producer that's working on getting it to New York. So when that happens, it might not be for another year because it takes a while to get investors and to get everything together, artistic team and everything. But when it happens, I will be sure to post it and announce it on Facebook. And I think everyone will flip their lid over the show because it's just a spectacular true story, worth telling. That's what I'll say. It's worth telling.
Definitely. And if you have anything breaking that you want us to spread out to the fans, just let us know and be more than happy to spread that news.
Great. Thank you so much, Chris. It's been so much fun.
No problem. And before we let you go, we do have our final question, which is our 91.8 The Fan tradition. We sort of spoiled the surprise a little bit behind the scenes, but we just ask everybody to do a radio bump for us. Would you be able to do that?
Yes. It might not make much sense, but I will do it.
All right. It's very simple. We just ask everybody to say, hello, my name is, you insert your name.
Okay.
I do this. You can say you're a voice actress. You can list specific characters, whatever you want to put there. It's up to you. And you're tuned into 91.8 The Fan.
And you're tuned into. Okay. All right. Let me see if I can get this right.
All right. So when you're all ready, we can go for it. Take one.
Hello. My name is Erica Schroeder, and you are tuned into, that is, 91.8 The Fan.
Well done. You got it all in one take. Very nice.
Did I?
You did.
Yes. Yes,
one of the most common things is we have people, they mix up the numbers, 98.1, 91.3. I don't know where that one came from. But
and then if you aired that would really screw people up. If they want to tune in again. Like, what?
Where are we tuning into? I'm confused.
I think it's best to get things in the first take because your first instinct, I believe, is always the best. So if you can get it in the first take, it's usually the best. And if you can't get the timing right, you get it in the second take. Once you do more than 5, then they should probably just cast somebody else.
Yeah.
That's my feeling.
And we'll go with that as our final words of wisdom for this interview. But thank you very much for taking the time to come out here. It was a lot of fun.
Great. Thanks so much for having me.
No problem. And for all the listeners out there, if you missed any part of this interview, it will be up on our website in the next couple days. So keep it tuned to 91.8 The Fan. Everything you want and nothing you don't.